Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, McCutcheon takes the reins. Also, the V team takes a look at dirty tricks. And the special session is in full swing, but where is Governor Robert Bentley?
Bueller. Bueller. Bueller.
He's sick. My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid is going with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious.
Bentley. Guess it must have been those 31 flavors. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V.
The Voice of Alabama Politics. With your host, Bill Brett. Now, the #1 political show in Alabama, The V.
Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. Caution, we're in special session. Welcome all.
Well, yes, we are. And it is.
Well, I thought there'd been a murder with this yellow tape when I came up this morning.
Here.
Well,
I know.
It's just been a waste of taxpayers' money.
It's
been a murder of their money. That's true.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens on Monday.
Well, so far, it's just been nothing. I mean, the only thing of importance is that they did elect Mac McCutcheon as Speaker of the House. The atmosphere has changed dramatically. He gave a great speech, Jack.
He did.
And we hope he lives up to it.
I think he will. I mean, everybody that knows him and has known him for a while have told me that he's just an all-around good guy. So it couldn't have gotten worse, let's face it. And
that's for sure.
But the fact that he's congenial, it makes it, people don't dread going over to the State House.
Yeah, he's a fine person. The atmosphere's changed just like we've seen up there this week. You know, lobbyists and staffers, everybody's happy, and it's the way it should be.
Agreed. And one of the things that he said during his post-press conference after he was elected and got all his pictures taken when he came off the floor, he said that he will not be bringing any bills because it shouldn't be the Speaker's agenda, but the people's agenda according to the legislators.
Well, I think it was very telling in his speech. It was short and powerful. He said that the day of the empirical speakership is over. And it shows that's done.
It shows the people, even the staffers there, the assistants, they're in a much better mood. They're more lightheartedness
People don't
there.
function under a dictatorship.
No, they
just
don't.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't. The presence is obviously missing, which is a good thing.
You know, the interesting thing, and Claire, you know, we were talking about this earlier, is that, you know, he went on that vacation that he and his wife had planned for 2 years. He got back the day before. But this is not his session. If this is anybody's session, it's Governor Bentley's session. I mean, Bentley is supposed to be on this.
Well, yeah, that's right. But he calls the session, the special session. But, you know, to the voters, remind them that he doesn't have a vote. He can ask them to do something, encourage them to do something, but the House and the Senate have to cast the votes.
Well, if this session's a failure, I'm laying the blame on Robert Bentley, not on Mac McCutcheon.
You know,
I don't know that you can do that. They don't have votes.
True. Bentley did not work his people.
Correct.
He's been absent the whole time. I mean, if you're going to call a special session, you need to have your ducks in a row before you waste the taxpayers' money calling. However, the lobbyists still run this state. I'm sorry, Claire, I know you're a lobbyist, but, I mean, they're in charge. I mean, it's sad.
Well, you know, I have high hopes for Mac McCutcheon because he is a decent man. I don't know how anybody can stand up to this, but thank God Hubbard's gone. That's all I can say.
And Amen on a Sunday morning, thank you.
Yeah.
Sweep the streets he used to own.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you, the first bill that came up was this lottery that Jim McClendon, who's a great guy, and you know, we had wished him well, but that lottery turned into a bloodbath. I mean, it was so hostile, Susan, up in the Senate. I mean, it was unbelievable.
We were taking bets in the press room as to when the blows were going to start, and, you know, counting back to when the last time an actual physical fight broke out on the Senate
That's been a
floor.
long time.
It's been a long time. It's been about 5 years ago.
Well, that was with
But
Lowell
anyway,
Barron and Charles Bishop.
Exactly. But it was coming to that. It was that heated. There were legislators pacing the floor on other floors to keep from going in the chamber because they were so angry. They were afraid that they would actually say things they didn't mean.
You know, going into the session, he thought he had 21 votes.
Well, I
but they were weak.
don't think he ever had 21 votes. And as a lot of us predict, when you have a bill like that and you start loading everything in the kitchen sink and you start appeasing people across the state, there was just no way they were going to get the votes for that.
And Bentley, to put them on in such a tight time period, that tempers flare because you're up against the gun the whole time. And
well, they tend to work better under pressure.
well,
But it didn't seem to work out this week,
It didn't work out. But I mean, the idea, it really got nailed. Like Claire said, there was too much stuff that got, but McClendon was just trying to get it to a vote. You know, we couldn't even get it to a vote to find out who was against it, who was for it. They protected themselves against that.
They didn't ever get it to a vote.
Right.
They did it through a cloture vote, which is a very
By design, they did
by
that.
design, of course, they did that. But that is a very unusual move, the way they did it.
Well, and I tell you, one of the weird things is that, you know, the Republican Party, some in the Republican Party and the Jefferson delegation sent out a letter and saying that we don't want a lottery in the general election because it will increase voter turnout, Jack.
what that means, if you take all that BS around it and boil it down, it means we don't want to put it on the ballot in November because it could hurt our DA who's white, because a lot of Democrats are going to turn out, and black folks traditionally vote Democrat.
And I think there's
they're
some
worried
judgeships.
about that. And some judgeships are up. So
Yeah, but that's just crazy. What do we do? Cost the state more money to have a special election to vote on this constitutional amendment? They should put it out there and not worry about it.
I agree with you.
But evidently for the delegation up there, and that was a big sticking point. They didn't want it on there. I tell you, my feelings, you won't have to worry about the black turnout because Donald Trump's going to ensure that.
Well, you might.
Well, that just went, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I don't necessarily
There's
agree
going to
with
be
that,
a turnout,
but
one way or another. There's going to be heavy turnout.
It's a presidential election. It's always a heavy turnout.
But, you know,
okay?
this is sad that a lottery bill that nobody will say what the poll numbers are, but usually up around 65 to 70% of the people favor it. It didn't even get a fair hearing. I mean, it's pitiful.
Well, that's because the other entities that are really against it, they designed it and they bogged it down where it never got out.
I know.
Well, and one of the things that was most contentious was this lottery terminals, which 9 states have. It's not a slot machine. It is, you're playing a lottery against somebody else, and a lot of times people don't win. But
well, the Indians continue to have their monopoly on electronic bingo, and other people that acted in good faith and invested millions in facilities are left out in the cold. I think that's just disgraceful.
Egregious. That's what it is.
And here's who, the voters are the ones who actually lost here.
Right.
They're the ones that lost because people across the state of Alabama, whether they want gambling or not, whether they want lottery or not, or lottery, they want to vote on it, and nobody is listening to them.
Well, but Jack hit the nail on the head. The Porch Creek Indians still dominate this state with all their money, and they're the ones that made it go down.
I talked to a state rep, and I won't name the state rep, said that just polled his district, 68% of the Republican voters, and he lives in a majority Republican district, are for allowing the people to vote.
Sure.
And he wasn't going to vote for it. Now, I'm like, are you crazy?
we've got less than 20 seconds, and I think this is an important point. The idea was to let the people vote, and they're unwilling to do that. And that is the part that's most disturbing.
And I think people should remember that at election time in 2018.
All right, well, we're going to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
I'm Dario Melton. When I think about Selma, I think about home. This is the neighborhood that I grew up in. Like so many other kids, this is where my hopes and dreams came alive. I believe that we can do big, important things right here in Selma. I believe we can work together to grow Selma from our roots out, building a city we can all be proud to call home, with safe streets, quality schools, and 21st century jobs. I'm Dario Melton, and I'm running for mayor. Let's put Selma first.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Jack, you brought this up before, and I think it's an interesting point. You know, normally a governor will call and talk to the senators, invite them over to the Capitol. They'll talk to the reps and really make a personal plea for what he's looking for. Now, Bentley said he wanted to try to get a lottery vote passed so people could vote, as he has promised, for over 6 years, and he wanted to fix Medicaid. Now, I talked to several lawmakers, I know you have too. Bentley didn't call them. He sent them a little letter, form letter. I mean, how's that work?
I don't know who advised, well, we do know who advised this man. That's why he's in hot water with everybody. But, you know, when you're a governor, you invite people over to dinner at the mansion, yeah. Or, you know, not Bentley, he doesn't drink, you could go out for a beer, but...
Well, you can have them for breakfast or lunch.
Meet them for breakfast, invite them over to your Capitol office and have donuts and sit around with the leadership and say, hey, guys, what would make you support a lottery bill? He did nothing like that.
He's not even called him before he started the bill. There was no communication even before he dropped this bill.
And how much is this session going to cost? Like $3 or $4 million? Mm-hmm. Which we don't have lying around. In
That's
the state
egregious, as we know.
I'm telling you.
And we do. You know, the thing is this will be what, the second or third special session we've had that nothing really of importance has been done, and the reason is, for the large part, is because Bentley doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, he just
Bentley and the lobbyists are running the state. I'm telling you, we you know, the BCA and
I know, but you know what? The leadership in the Senate and the House, if the governor's not going to do that, they need to come up.
Well, I'm embarrassed to live here now, number one, and I'm doubly embarrassed to be a Republican. The way these clowns act, they act like the Democrats used to act. It's crazy.
Well, I don't guess they have no other example. You know, I was reading Russell Kirk, you know, to me, the guru of conservative politics, and I started asking some folks, have you ever read Russell Kirk? And they went, who? Was he with the Beach Boys?
I don't know, but I just poured coffee all over him.
You're just very upset you live in Alabama right now. That's what happened.
I think we've got some good senators. We've got some good House members.
We do, but they
need to step up to the plate.
There's no cohesion over there.
They need leadership, and Bentley's not leading.
Well, that's okay. You can lead in the Senate and you can lead in the House. We've seen that. That's what's been going on for the last 6 years anyway.
They didn't want the special session, and Bentley wanted a special session.
But, you know, we can talk about it. But at the end of the day, we can blame stuff on Bentley, but at the end of the day, Bentley doesn't have the vote. And when the House and the Senate doesn't vote something out, then it reflects upon the members, really.
Well, I'm laying this at Bentley's feet. But I tell you, one of the funniest things that's come up lately is the Tea Party thought they had gotten the superintendent candidate they wanted, state school superintendent, Mr. Michael Sentat, who is a very talented man. He's been a consultant in government.
Yankee.
He's definitely ain't from around here.
Well, they got snooped and duped, didn't
That's what we're hearing, Claire. Is that what you're hearing?
That's what I've heard.
We have the superintendent of education in Alabama right now. A guy was turned down in 7 other states for the job. What in the hell are these people thinking? Betty Peters goes MIA because Alpha got to her and nobody could find her on the phone for 2 days.
So what happens is, you know, Craig Pouncey, who was the favorite, they send out an anonymous ethics complaint. Mary Scott Hunter makes sure it shows up over at ethics. Hugh Evans writes a letter saying, oh, we've received an ethics complaint against Craig Pouncey. And then all of a sudden, Susan, he's out of the running.
He's out of the running.
And nothing ever happens that quickly around Alabama politics unless somebody's trying to decapitate you.
Right.
Well, and it happened very quickly. It was very effective, actually. But I think that they're going to find out that this is not the guy they thought they were getting. I think that a lot of them thought this was an anti-Common Core guy, but he is. He is, absolutely. But in Massachusetts, he said on tape, and we have the tape, that, yeah, they don't need those kind of Common Core standards in Massachusetts, but they certainly need them in the South. And I'm sorry, but we're sitting in the middle of the South.
Baby, we're in the heart
We're
of the South.
We're in the deep
Dixie.
heart of Dixie. Right. But it's interesting. So he says one thing about Common Core and then says another. So he's talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a problem.
Well, he is from Boston.
Yes.
I don't know how we ended up with this guy. I really don't. And I just...
Well, I do, but I'm just not going to say it on
Well,
TV.
yeah, we do. We know.
We know
exactly how it happened.
You know, the thing is there are people that are trying to get control of our state's education, for nefarious reasons.
It's Governor Bob Riley. He and BCA work in conjunction. They've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to State Board of Education candidates.
That's right. They want
because they want to keep Common Core, and Bob Riley wants to keep his SGOs.
And they want
where
charter
he can get
schools.
a 5% administrative fee off millions
That's right.
of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Thank you for putting the hay down where the goats could get it this
Well,
day,
you know, the
okay? Because
thing
that's
is-
exactly correct what you just said.
That's
The
who's running
strings are
this
very
state.
I mean,
clear.
Riley is still here.
Oh, yeah.
Canary's still here. The only thing that they lost was the third leg of that corrupt stool, in my opinion.
Right.
And I think until Billy Canary's gone and Bob Riley is put out to pasture, this state has no chance of becoming
Billy
great.
Canary's really lucky that his testimony in Lee County isn't going to come back and bite him.
Yet.
You know, that's
I don't
just-
think it will, but
I know
anyway,
it won't,
it's
but-
just an amazing thing. When
But
you
it's just
think
very
about it.
sad. The whole thing
He's
is
sharp
sad.
enough to pass some really important bills, but he can't recall a lot of stuff that happened when Mike Hubbard was Speaker.
Well, the thing is
That's
that,
called selective memory.
and
Yeah.
this is the scary part to me. There is no counterweight. I mean, you've got
Right.
the two powers that be right now, the big ones: BCA, Horse Creek Indians,
And Riley Inc.
and
Well,
we might,
BCA and
well,
Riley
that's the
Inc. are
same,
together.
kind of the same
But
thing.
you know, you could see the tea leaves on the wall when they opened up and did this whole education thing.
Tea
And they,
leaves on
I
the
know you're
wall?
making fun of my little.
I love Claire's mixed metaphor.
Mixed metaphor. Well, I just wanted to see if y'all were paying attention. But the point
Still
is,
trying to figure out where that snake is. But
in a file somewhere. But anyway, when they came up with this whole education thing, and Jay Love left the legislature, and they adorned him with this. So I mean, they were laying their path right
They
there.
are.
Sure,
They are.
sure.
These guys are long-term thinkers. They really do. We only got about
Plotting
one.
and scheming.
Yeah, well, you
Oh,
know.
they're good at that, obviously.
Well, you know, they've learned how to make government pay them.
To them, yeah,
to
right.
them, and that's it. But I think that, you know, I got to believe that there's some changes coming. I think when we have this change in leadership, that's going to help some. I hope. I know y'all don't have much hope, but I have hope that it'll change. And listen, I hope this energy group, that's
Takes
the
off.
Energy Alliance, takes off. That's going to put a crimp in BCA's style.
It sure will. And that looks to be a powerful
And
group.
it's led by Seth Hammett. That's no crook
Right.
that I know of. I mean, that's just honest man.
Well, I
as we
think
got.
change with that, but I think in another 2 years during the election process, there'll be a lot of changes there.
I agree.
I'd just be surprised. It would just change different Republicans.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to, because all these were bought and paid for by BCA and Riley, right?
well, speaking
A lot
of
of-
energy, I hope in our next segment we can talk
Get some-
about the little PSC matter.
Oh, well, let's hold it
Another
right
little
there.
trick.
You're watching the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Jack's got something on his mind. Is
That puts the E in egregious.
that how you spell it?
I think.
Oh, well.
It's time to take a road trip.
In Alabama, the road and the restaurants are calling. We've elevated barbecue to an art form, a meat masterpiece. Fine dining your thing? National awards are putting us on the map.
Because everything's fresh and local.
And if you like your dinner with a view, well, you can't beat this. Alabama has a road trip with your name on it.
Which one you gonna take?
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Before we get to the chip on Jack's shoulder, let's talk a little bit about Senator Gerald Dial. Took this issue over at the Board of Education very seriously. This blackballing or just coming out against Craig Pouncey with no
Smear
evidence,
campaign.
smear
Yeah.
campaign.
Snooped and duped.
He wrote a letter, Susan, to the Attorney General, and he's also got a bill about it. tell us a little bit what he said.
Well, he's saying that, this is dirty, these are dirty tricks. And obviously it was. I mean, this is an anonymous letter that was sent over just to get, a rumor started, which was very effective. And that if this is allowed in this BOE election, what's to stop it from being allowed in other elections, board elections and so forth? And this has got to be stopped. He's asking the Attorney General to look into this matter and see if any laws were broken here and try to get some legislation that will stop any future tampering with elections like this.
Well, it'd be great. I don't know that anything's
They've been
going to
doing this for
happen.
years.
I mean,
I would love to be more cautiously optimistic about that, but I doubt it. But my hat's off for Senator Dial for doing this.
Yeah.
Yes, because it is egregious what they have done and what happened to Pounce.
And they've got a bipartisan resolution, joint resolution to at least get a committee to investigate it, right, Jack?
Yeah, and I'm kind of with Claire. I'm not sure what'll happen, but the Ethics Commission has never considered an anonymous complaint.
No.
So this is some backroom shenanigans on this deal, and I'm really surprised at Hugh Evans because
I'm surprised at Albritton and Hugh Evans both, but obviously Hugh's the one that pulled the pin.
He would send that letter back. And they leaked it immediately. I mean, we had a copy of the letter, I think, before it, left cyberspace. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, it was set up just in time for the BCA meeting that weekend, too. It was just prime.
But Albritton and Hugh did the right thing on Chip Beaker.
Well, let's talk about Chip.
Beaker?
Let's talk about Chip. Chip Beaker, the PSC, the Public Service Commission that regulates power.
That's controlled by Riley Inc. and them.
Well, I'm not going that far.
Well, okay. Well,
let's
thank goodness with the president of the PSC that Twinkle Andrews did what she did. She did the right thing.
Well, Chip Beaker was offered an option, or given a company asked for an option to purchase some 430 acres of land. Lease 430 acres of land for about $225,000 a year.
For 20 years.
Yeah, and with two options, 5-year options.
Oh, yeah.
Chip Beaker says he had this run through ethics. He's crossed every T.
On a 2-2 vote, that is not giving you a rubber stamp to go do it.
Right.
Well, and they did.
It's definitely, what is my favorite word?
I don't want to say that word. I think egregious.
Anyway,
it puts a capital E into it. How about that?
Twinkle Kavanaugh, the president, did send a letter to the Ethics Commission saying that they did the right thing.
No, she didn't. She recommended they not allow him to do this.
Well, they didn't allow him to do it. He doesn't have he got to go back to him.
Well, anyway, for him to even entertain the notion of leasing land to a solar energy company that wants to do business with Alabama Power. There's the Alabama Power, I think, honest brokers in this deal. I don't think they even knew about it.
But that's an oxymoron to think you could do something like that when you serve on the PSC.
And he plays dumb like a fox. I mean,
that's right.
Well, the lease value is quite a bit more valuable than the land itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, it ends up. I mean, that's listen. If it were me, and again, it's an option. It's not a done deal. But if it were me, I'd quit the commission tomorrow for $235 a year for the rest of my life.
Well, he needs to be forced to quit the commission.
Right. Yeah, it's some home cooking in West Alabama is what I'm telling you.
Or tear up that contract.
I think the contract hasn't been signed yet. My understanding is it's never been signed.
I met with Chip Beaker this past week and talked to him for about an hour. I still have other people to interview, like Ms. Kavanaugh, before we release the story. But it's interesting, and it deserves scrutiny. There's no doubt about it. We don't care where it goes.
Do these people did they not follow a trial in Lee County that went on for a long time where a guy is sentenced to 4 years for ethics?
Apparently it didn't have enough coverage for them.
Well, the thing is,
I think probably some of their consultants are telling them nobody will ever catch on to this.
Yeah, well,
they're seasoned in that.
I'm not ready to cast a verdict, but I think it needs investigating.
I should say some of his advisors or some of Mike Hubbard's advisors.
I think he has two options. He either steps down from the PSC or he lets the contract go null and void, and it cannot go to he or his wife or his son.
Well, there's a 2-year, they've got 2-year option right now, but nothing's moving. And
that's
I guarantee
the point. That's where it needs to be.
People are scrutinizing this
Y'all
deal.
better keep peeling back the onion on it now.
Oh, yeah, because when you peel back that onion, baby, it ain't an onion.
Cheers.
Cheers. I want to move on to something else. Governor Bentley called a special session. specifically for lottery and Medicaid, and he wants to address the BP money, and they want to use, what, $78 million or so from the BP funds to prop up Medicaid for 1 year. Right, Susan?
That's right. It's only going to fix Medicaid for 1 year. It will not fix it going forward. We have to have, my understanding is we have to have a growth fund in the general fund in order to be able to keep up with this. Now, as of the taping of it, as of Friday, it still had not, it rushed through the House. Like, they passed it quickly to get this BP money for Medicaid, but as of Friday, it was still in the basket, and the Senate had not been assigned to a committee yet.
Well, Claire, aren't you hearing that?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you hear?
that's true, but I'm very cautious about that. I mean, I'm very optimistic. I think without question it will get out, and I think that is the one thing they will accomplish is, you know, to handle the BP money, because they really should have done this in the regular session this spring, and they tried in the House, and it fell apart.
You mean they're going to raid money that shouldn't go for Medicaid to prop up Medicaid because they can't do their job?
You can say it in different ways. Yeah, probably so. But the point is, it's a one-time Band-Aid fix, and that is what we are known for in Alabama.
Kicking the can down the road once again.
This makes 24 years they've been doing this to Medicaid.
Yeah, well, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse, according to Stephanie Azar. Jack, I mean, what do you think?
I don't even know what I think.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not getting paid, but it's flat out egregious. But the bottom line is,
as an accountant, I mean, does this make any sense?
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's just like, you know, just taking money and throwing it at a problem and never addressing the problem. They've done this over and over again. We're going to come back with the next problem, with this problem again and again and again. Fix the problem. Sell something. Sell something, you know, to put money back in the account so I can write my expenses out of it.
Right.
Well, it's better than floating a bond, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, that was an idea out there, too. The thing is you got to take a look at the long-term effects. But anyway, we're going to leave it there.
We're not known for long-term in Alabama.
That's true. But
long-term poverty.
Just what you said.
Well, we're going to have to get there.
Uneducated.
This week, state government lost a fine man. He was the Secretary of State who brought us the legacy of being able to search campaign finance reports online. James Bennett will be missed.
He's a true gentleman.
And he was the head of the Labor Department as well. Right. And a former state senator.
Well, he was a
grand guy.
And the longest-serving Secretary of State.
And a former newspaper guy.
Right.
All right, well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.